Yesterday, we looked at Paul's rather weird definition of worship as giving your bodies as a living sacrifice so that God can love and work through you in the world. And the question might come up, well, did Jesus ever even hint at anything like that, or is that just something Paul got first? Well, actually, once Jesus said something that really points in that direction. And it's in Mark chapter 12. And in Mark 12, the religious leaders are trying to trip up Jesus. They're trying to give him trick questions so that he can answer wrong, they can catch him in a mistake, and they can undermine his authority as a rabbi, as a teacher. And so one group comes up to him and says, hey, Jesus, should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? And it's a tough question because they were legally required to pay taxes, but nobody wanted to pay taxes to the oppressive Roman government. So they thought it was a pretty good question, but Jesus, of course, just flips it right back at him. And he goes, okay, show me a coin. And they hand him a coin. He goes, okay, whose image and likeness is on that? And they go, well, that's Caesar. And Jesus says in Mark 12:17, okay, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And they were amazed, and we should be too, for a different reason, because you're supposed to give your taxes to Caesar because it's got his picture on it. Well, do you know anything that bears the image and likeness of God? That'd be me. Exactly. See, Jesus is saying, what's your normal, obvious sacrifice? Give yourself back to God. Exactly the same way Paul's going to say it a few years later when he writes. He's going to say in Romans to give your bodies to God as a living sacrifice. Jesus says here, I want you to give yourselves to God because you give to God what is God's. And because you bear the image and likeness of God, your worship is to give yourselves to God. Doesn't seem to be any getting around it. God wants all of us. That's your challenge. That's my challenge. And that's today's Jumpstart. Here's something else you can do if you like the Jumpstart. You can make a comment in the YouTube section of the Jumpstart page. You can say, hey, I like this one. Hey, Steve, this one really stank. Hey, and ask a question, whatever, start a conversation. That's a really cool thing you can do to help other people find the Jumpstart.